Millions of people make resolutions to change their lives every year, but by February, almost 80% of us have given up. This isn't because we don't have the willpower or resources to stick to our plans. It's because our habits silently control our daily actions and ultimately, our fates. Today, we're going to get to the bottom of what stops us from living the lives we want, and how embracing the timeless wisdom of Stoicism can not only change your habits, but also transform your whole way of life. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot, which is a powerful way of thinking that is especially important when we're trying to break free from the habits that hold us back. If you're ready to take control of your actions and align your daily habits with your deepest values, stay tuned. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos of things we can't control. For example, when you're lying awake at night, your mind is probably racing with all the what-ifs about things that haven't happened yet, or that you can't change, like worrying about the future of your job, the economy, or even other people's opinions. It's exhausting and, frankly, draining. This habit of worrying about things we can't change steals not only our joy, but also our time and energy. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca taught us how to tell the difference between what we can control and what we can't. They told us that even though we can't change outside events, we can change how we react to them. They told us to focus on our own actions, choices, and attitudes instead of worrying about the next big storm or a friend's opinion. Instead of worrying for hours, Stoicism makes us ask ourselves, what can I actually do about this situation? There are times when it's better to be ready than to freak out. We can do our best to protect our homes from storms, and we can work on being honest and trustworthy when it comes to other people's views. When we shift our attention from things we can't change to things we can, we not only feel more in control, but we also become more productive and calm. This Stoic practice doesn't just make us less stressed, it also makes us more resilient, so we can handle problems with grace and calm. It's about accepting what we can change and making peace with what we can't, which is not only smart, but also very empowering. Remember that every moment we waste worrying about things we can't change is a moment we could have spent doing things that make our lives and the lives of others better. Use this Stoic wisdom and watch your life improve. Your life goes from being full of worries about the unknown to being a more focused, peaceful trip. Have you ever felt like you couldn't handle all of your responsibilities at work and in your personal life? We all say yes to a lot of things because we feel like we need to help or because we don't want to miss out. It's not just about having a full plan that makes us overcommit. It's also about being so worn out that nothing gets the full attention or energy it needs. Stoicism teaches us the value of balance and how important it is to keep our attention on what's important. Seneca often talked about how valuable time is and told people not to waste it. He thought it was important to protect one's time because it's the one thing we can't get back. So how does this relate to our tendency to take on too much? It starts with being aware of our responsibilities. Before agreeing to another project or social event, we should stop and think about whether it fits with our values and life goals. Will this promise help in a meaningful way, or will it just make an already busy plan even busier? By choosing which promises to make, we make room in our lives for activities that are truly enriching and help us grow as people and in our careers. There's no need to become stiff and set in our ways. Instead, we learn to say no with the same conviction with which we say yes. This careful approach not only lowers stress, but also lets us give our best when it matters most. Being responsible with our commitments shows that we respect ourselves and don't want to waste our time, energy, or focus. As Stoics, we try to live intentionally by making choices that reflect our way of life. Every yes and no is a statement of our priorities and a practice in living thoughtfully. Putting things off until later is a common habit that is usually just because you don't feel like doing them right now. It seems safe at first, because isn't there always more time? But as due dates get closer, stress levels rise, and what was once a manageable job turns into a mad dash to finish in time. It's not just about being late for work. Putting things off can hurt our self-esteem and keep us from reaching our full potential. The Stoics believed that we should do what we need to do when we need to do it, because they knew how important the present moment is, and that it is the only moment we have. Marcus Aurelius often talked about how important it was to act. He believed in taking the moment and making good use of it, not wasting it on useless things or putting off actions that needed to be done. Procrastination is when our behaviors don't match up with what we really want to do. What we plan to do and what we actually do are not the same. The calm way to deal with this is easy to understand. You should make sure that your actions match the decisions you make. This means that when you decide that something needs to be done, you should just start doing it. More action leads to more action. By starting even the smallest task that is connected to your goal, you build momentum that makes it easier to keep going. Another Stoic trick is to divide jobs into smaller pieces that are easier to handle. Seneca said to only focus on the current task and not get too stressed out about the whole job. Breaking a big task into smaller steps makes each one less scary and easier to do. This way lowers the stress that makes people put things off. Stoicism teaches accepting discomfort. Putting off starting a difficult task can be made easier by realizing that discomfort is normal and forcing yourself to go through it. This is where the Stoic practice of voluntary discomfort can really help. It teaches you to be okay with the uncomfortable, which makes you stronger and more determined. To beat procrastination, you need to embrace the Stoic virtues of discipline and courage, the discipline to do what needs to be done, even when it's unpleasant, and the courage to start even if you're not sure of success. Every time you decide to act instead of wait, you not only get closer to your goals, you also become a more focused, strong person. Do you find it odd how often we put our own health and happiness last? We often skip meals to meet a goal, stay up late to binge watch a show, or don't work out because our schedules are too full. In our society of hustle, putting off self-care has almost become the norm. But at what cost? Putting ourselves last all the time can cause a lot of mental and physical health problems and lower our quality of life as a whole. Contrary to some myths, Stoicism actually puts a lot of importance on taking care of yourself. Stoics don't believe in denying joy or going through hard times. They think that keeping your mind and body healthy is necessary to do your job well. The philosopher Epictetus said that it is silly to want your business to go well, but not your body, pointing out that in Stoic terms, good health is a form of duty to oneself. Putting off taking care of yourself is like putting off your part in the world. We all have responsibilities to others and to ourselves. If we don't take care of our own needs, we lose the ability to do those things well. Taking care of yourself isn't just about your health. It's also about giving yourself the power to make the world a better place. So how can we incorporate self-care into our daily lives? It starts with realizing that taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. To do this, we need to set limits and say no when other commitments could make it too hard to care for ourselves. We also need to prioritize activities that feed our bodies, minds, and spirits, like meditating for 20 minutes, going for a walk, or making sure we get enough sleep. These aren't extras, they're necessities. Stoicism teaches the practice of reflection, which can be a helpful way to take care of yourself. If we regularly think about our day, our feelings, and our responses, we can see where we might be putting our health last. This practice of reflection helps us stay true to our core values, which makes sure that our actions and decisions are good for our health and well-being. Self-care is an important part of living a life that respects your human limitations and values your worth. As the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. By taking care of yourself, you make sure you have the energy, health, and peace of mind to face any challenges that come your way and live your life according to your values. Too often, we get stuck in the past or the future in our dreams, don't you think? While thinking about the past or making plans for the future isn't inherently bad, living in the present too much can keep us from being truly happy and fulfilled in the here and now. When we're constantly thinking about other things, life, which is beautiful and fleeting, just passes us by. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that has become popular again, teaches us the valuable skill of presence. Stoics believe that the present is the only reality we can truly affect and experience. Marcus Aurelius wrote a lot about how important it is to focus on the present and let go of past and future events that take our attention away from our chores and joys right now. So, how does one practice being present? Being aware of when your mind goes to the past or the future is the first step. If you notice that you are doing this, gently bring your attention back to the present moment. You don't have to push your thoughts away or deny them. Instead, you can direct them in a way that helps you right now. Mindfulness and meditation are tools that can help us stay present. These practices teach us to notice our thoughts and feelings without getting attached to them, which lets us fully experience the present moment. They're not just trendy ideas, they're useful Stoic exercises that make our minds stronger and help us concentrate. It's also important to enjoy the little things when you live in the moment. You should enjoy the feel of the sun on your face and the taste of your morning coffee. It's easy to miss the laughing of a loved one when your mind is on something else. By enjoying the everyday, you turn it into something meaningful, which makes your life better in ways that guilt and stress never could. Stoicism doesn't just say to be present, it also says to act in the present with virtue and reason. This means making decisions and doing things that are in line with our core values and what makes sense. By being present, we can make the most of the opportunities that are available to us right now. When we are fully present, we not only make our own lives better, but also the lives of those around us. We listen better, perform better, and engage more honestly when we are fully present. We become active participants in our lives instead of passive observers. Tell me, how often do we get stuck in a cycle of bad self-talk? It's really simple to be our own worst judge, isn't it? This could show up as a voice in your head telling you that you're not good enough, or as a mental repeat of mistakes with harsh self-judgment each time. Talking badly to ourselves not only makes us feel less confident, but it also makes it harder to reach our goals. We can't reach our full potential because of this bad habit that makes us question ourselves and feel unsafe. Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches people to control their feelings and thoughts, is a strong way to break this bad habit. Stoics believe in the idea of reason and having control over one's own thoughts. Epictetus, a famous Stoic philosopher, said that people are upset not by events themselves, but by how they think about them. This idea is especially helpful when dealing with bad self-talk, because it means that we can change how we feel by changing how we judge things. To start changing this habit, pay attention to what you're saying to yourself. When you are being hard on yourself, ask yourself if what you are saying is something you would say to a friend. Most of the time, the answer is no. Stoicism teaches us to be kind and patient with ourselves, just like we would be with other people. Once we realize that our harsh self-criticism isn't helping or building us up, we can start to question and change it. To be more stoic, you need to change the way you think about these negative thoughts. For example, instead of telling yourself, "I always mess up," you could say, "I made a mistake this time, but I can learn from it." This isn't about denying your feelings or mistakes. It's about dealing with them in a more constructive and compassionate way. It's about helping yourself grow and get better without the weight of unnecessary self-judgment. Stoicism also pushes people to think about themselves, which can help them stop talking badly to themselves. Regularly reflecting on your actions and thoughts helps you understand them better, revealing patterns of negativity. Armed with this knowledge, you can consciously work on changing your negative self-talk to more positive and helpful phrases, making your thoughts more in line with your values and goals. Keep in mind that using positive self-talk is a skill that needs to be practiced, just like using negative routines. It's inevitable that your thoughts will change, right? With consistent effort and the logical, balanced view of Stoicism, you can slowly change the way you talk to yourself. This change not only improves your mental health, but also makes you more resilient, so you can face life's challenges with a more stable and supportive mindset. Still, the thought of change can be scary for many of us. It brings uncertainty, the unknown, and often a lot of pain. But trying to stop change is like trying to stop the seasons from changing. It's not only pointless, but it also keeps us from having new experiences and growing. After all, where would the room for change or excitement be if everything stayed the same? Stoicism teaches us to not only accept change as a normal part of life, but to look forward to it. Stoics like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius stressed that everything changes and told us to handle new situations with grace and calm. They also thought that we were in charge of how we react to change, not change itself. This way of thinking is very freeing because it changes the focus from fearing change to understanding how to handle it. One way to get used to change is to change the way we think about it. Instead of seeing it as a threat, we can see it as a chance to see how strong and flexible we are. Stoic values that are important. Every new situation is a lesson that teaches us something, giving us the chance to work on our patience, determination, and maybe most of all, courage. Stoicism also teaches us to be open to change. This is called premeditatio malorum, and it means to think about the future not like a pessimist, but in a reasonable way. As a way to mentally prepare, the premeditation of evils includes picturing possible problems and setbacks. It's not about dwelling on the bad, but about being ready to deal with whatever life throws at you. To deal with change, you have to leave your comfort zone and go through something that could change you. It's about choosing growth over comfort. Every time you accept a change, you gain a little more confidence and resilience. You learn that you can handle more than you thought, which is empowering. Also, avoiding change can often keep you stuck in your personal and professional life. By accepting change, you keep moving forward, evolving, and adapting. This is important not only for personal growth, but also for staying relevant and effective in a world that is always changing. We've all done it at some point, right? When someone hurts us and we can't get over it, we keep thinking about it, which makes us angry and resentful. It makes us feel like we're holding the other person responsible, but if we're being honest, holding a grudge is often worse for us than for the person who hurt us. It's like carrying a heavy weight that makes our days miserable. In Stoicism, there is a strong emphasis on controlling what we can control, like our thoughts and actions. Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius said that holding grudges is a waste of mental energy. He thought that we should focus on our own actions and reactions instead of nursing bad feelings about other people. Remember that we can't change the past because it's out of our hands. But we can choose how to deal with the past in the present to break the circle of anger. Being calm teaches us how to forgive. Forgiveness is not condoning the wrongdoing or acting like it never happened. Instead, it's about releasing the emotional tie that you have to the person and the incident. It's a gift you give yourself that says, you are not defined by the hurts that have been done to you. Stoicism also tells us to see adversity, including the actions of others, as a chance to grow as a person. Every situation that might seem like a reason to hold a grudge is also a chance to practice virtues like patience, tolerance, and understanding. It's about changing our view from being a victim of circumstance to being a student of life. The idea of seeing others with kindness and understanding is another Stoic practice that can help you control your anger. Everyone has problems, and sometimes those problems make people act in hurtful ways. By trying to understand why someone did what they did, we can sometimes find reasons not to take it personally. This doesn't make their behavior okay, but it helps us keep the peace and focus our emotions on more positive things. Keeping a grudge is also a way of denying that life changes. Stoicism teaches us to accept that people change, situations change, and holding on to old grudges can keep us stuck while everyone else moves on. By letting go, we can experience new things and interact with new people without the weight of past hurts hanging over us. Has anyone ever felt like their own life doesn't quite measure up after going through social media and seeing someone else's highlight reel? You may have also noticed a coworker's quick job growth and asked yourself why you aren't making the same progress. Comparing ourselves to others is a habit that goes back almost to the beginning of time, but in today's hyper-connected world, it's stronger and more constant than ever. This constant comparison can make us feel inadequate, jealous, and like we're always chasing something that is just out of reach. Socratic philosophy, which says we should focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't, can teach us a lot about how to deal with and finally get rid of the habit of comparing ourselves to others. For the Stoics, these kinds of comparisons are not only useless, but also outside the range of things we can directly control. To break this habit, we should start to look inward at our own efforts and values instead of looking outward in envy or anger. Stoicism teaches us to keep our attention on ourselves and our own growth. Each person's life and circumstances are unique and come with their own challenges and paths. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, said that if you constantly look at other people to judge your worth, you are taking your attention away from improving yourself morally. Instead, we should focus on our own growth and celebrate our own accomplishments, no matter how small they may seem in comparison to others. Another Stoic strategy is to be thankful for what we already have. This helps us change our mindset from one of lack and competition to one of abundance and appreciation. When we're thankful, we tell ourselves that our life is valuable and full of successes. Along with lessons that make other people's lives less interesting, Stoicism tells us to look at other people's successes not as a measure of what we lack, but as examples of what is possible. Instead of being threatened by other people's successes, we can choose to see them as reminders of our own human potential. This change in perspective not only makes us less jealous, but it also brings people together and encourages us to work together. Remember that everyone has their own problems and issues, no matter how perfect their lives may look from the outside. Understanding this can help us feel more connected to other people, lowering the feelings of loneliness that come with similarities. It's interesting how often we put off taking care of our money. Ignoring our financial obligations, on the other hand, can cause a lot of stress and make it hard to make decisions that are in line with our values and goals. This might be because the subject can seem overwhelming or dull. Having enough money to meet your needs isn't the only thing that makes up good financial health. From a Stoic point of view, it's about making sure that the money choices you make support your overall health and personal goals. Managing our money well is an important part of having a good life. Stoicism teaches us to use logic and self-control in all areas of our lives, including our money matters. The Stoics believed in living in harmony with nature, which means being smart with money and making good plans for the future. By taking charge of our money, we are not only protecting our future, but also enjoying financial freedom. To take charge of our financial health and stop worrying about unexpected costs, let's look at some practical steps we can take. First, we need to be aware of our current financial situation. This means regularly checking our accounts to see where our money is going, what our main sources of spending are, and where we can save. This may not be the most exciting thing to do, but it can give us power and ease a lot of the stress that comes with not knowing what our finances will do. Second, making a budget is very important. Budgeting is more than just setting limits on how much you can spend. It shows what's important to you and how you want to live your life. It also helps you make sure that your money is spent in ways that support your long-term goals, like saving for a house, investing in education, or making sure you have enough money to retire comfortably. The idea of Stoicism is not to live a poor life, but but to use your resources in a smart and meaningful way. Stoicism teaches us to get ready for the future by thinking about the bad things that might happen. This is directly applicable to financial planning. By saving money and making plans for emergencies, we are practicing a form of Stoic discipline and precaution. This not only gets us ready for unexpected financial needs, but it also gives us a sense of security and peace. Realizing that wealth is not a good in and of itself, but a tool for achieving stability and fulfilling duties, can change the way we think about money. Stoicism tells us to think of wealth as something that should be used for bigger things, like helping family, helping the community, or achieving personal growth goals. This way of thinking helps us stay away from materialism, which makes money an end in itself, which often leads to unhappiness and constant stress. Thank you for joining me on this journey to become more self-aware and in control of our habits. Remember that every step you take toward overcoming these common pitfalls is a step toward a more peaceful and powerful life. If you want to learn more about how Stoic wisdom can change other parts of your life, watch the video on your screen. Let's keep getting smarter and better together. Thank you for reading our Stoic journal. Until next time, live well and think deeply.